Before we start the podcast, a quick message, definitely not from sponsors. We said off the bat that we'd not monetize this podcast, and we stand by it. We do, however, have to pay for shit, which now includes an actual proper podcast recording suite. So if you're feeling flush and generous, you can contribute towards these via our Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/gozpod, or by purchasing podcast merch at gosatan.com, by hitting the shop link and selecting Gozpod from the categories. Links will be provided in the show notes. We're only looking to cover costs, and in the unlikely event that we get more than we pay out, the remainder will go to the charities supported by our Satan Not Haten campaign. If you want to be a freeloader, your choice. We won't withhold any content from you. On to the podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of Gozpod, the podcast from the Global Order of Satan UK. And this time I am Lithos, and with me I have Lygia.
Hail Satan.
Liraj.
Hail Satan.
And Bohema.
Hail Satan.
And hail Satan from me. So this time, basically, we're back with another episode on horror movies. Because last time it kind of occurred to us afterwards, we'd focused on largely Western, European, American, largely white movies, all in English. And of course, the world's a lot bigger place than that. So we should really be focusing on some different horror movies from other parts of the world. And I will also say that this is a second attempt we've had at this, because the last one, which we recorded on Friday due to technical glitches, ended up being useless. And ironically, the technical glitches were caused by the two people here who should be tech, because they're all from an RT background, which is really good going. So I apologise for that and the slight lateness of the show. And we will proceed as we did last time by starting out talking about something that kind of kicked off the move into people getting interested in horror movies that were from around the world and not in English. And that's in the late 90s and early noughties, the wave of Japanese horror that came across from directors like Takashi Miike, Hideo Nakata, who did The Ring, and Takashi Shimizu, apologies for the pronunciation, who did Ju-on The Grudge. So anyone have anything to say on those particular movies? Did it kind of strike the same chord with you as it did with me at the time?
It did for me. Audition was the one that kind of like really sort of like got the ball rolling for me. And that whole kind of the sort of I don't want to use the phrase novelty value, but the kind of the new experience of experiencing horror movies in from a completely different cultural perspective was very new and very fresh and very, very welcome.
Yeah. Audition was something else. I think one of the first horror movies that I not enjoyed, but that actually really made me think and want to go and see more movies was Ringu. What is the year? Hold on, I have some notes, but I forgot again. I don't have the year, so it's okay. Everybody can find
I think it was around 1997, 98.
Yeah, I was going to say it was about 98, I think.
because The Grudge was slightly later. That was about 2002, and before that he'd done a straight to video movie on the same theme, but that was the first major one.
Yeah, it
So
was
yeah,
huge.
late 90s.
Yeah, I've seen some other horror movies like Western type, American, blah blah, but this one really spoke to me with the again. I will go to this color scheme because I'm really artistic. I am really focused on what colors are being used. If it is, yeah, like campy and very very colorful, like the 80s movies of America. You know, I'm not going there because I will get stuck there. But The Ring was so different. The colors were just really cold and almost like icy. And it was speaking to me, you know? So I know you started to talk about auditions, so maybe we can go there first and then we can all speak about The Ring.
No, we can come back to audition.
Yeah?
Yeah, go on with Ringo.
Ringo. Yeah, I really enjoyed the original one, even in the original language. I always go for the original and just read subtitles. I think it gives me so much more. And obviously I didn't know any actors from that movie. I don't know if these are famous in Japan or in Asia, whatever. I don't know. But for me, for my eyes, that was really, really refreshing not to see the same faces over again. And the whole, not plot, but the idea. I don't know. I guess almost everybody interested in horror movies have seen this movie. It's iconic at this point. So do you guys want to like explain shortly what is this movie about, or we just, I don't know.
It's kind of a variation on the theme of the cursed object. The cursed object in this case being a videotape, which of course in the late 90s was still a thing. So yeah, the videotape, and yes, you watch it and bad things happen. Basically is the bottom line. And the one thing I think that is different, certainly was, to my mind when I watched it, was the ending, which was not like the traditional horror film ending. It was just like, yeah, this is going to go on.
Yes, like there is no help.
It's a curse. You're not gonna. This is not gonna ever end happily. This is there forever, kind of thing.
I think that's a recurring theme in a lot of Asian horror, particularly Japanese, is the idea that things go in cycles and they keep happening, and it's not really possible to kind of
pray it
step
away
outside of that. Yeah, yeah, to kind of escape the kind of, I don't know, the trap of the past or something that's happened to, and it's not always something that's happened to the protagonist in the movie. It's not always something that's happened to their past. They could sort of like get trapped in this kind of, I don't know, this cycle that doesn't pertain to anything that they might or might not have done.
Yeah.
Certainly that's true. I mean, I'm not sure that that applies to, I mean, it doesn't apply to every example of Japanese cinema, things like Audition that we mentioned before, but certainly Ringu and The Grudge kind of like fall into that category, I think. Those very early Japanese horrors.
Yeah, it's scary because there is no actual reason for these people to suffer. It's not revenge. It's not like they've done anything. But I would also like to say, Liz mentioned the video cassettes, and I remember them very well. And I have to say, most of my video cassettes were cursed because they usually got stuck and I couldn't find the shit, anything that I wanted to find, like you go forward, you go, I can't find the freaking thing, just to say it. And I'm still alive, so
It's kind of also more of an object that the idea of a cursed USB stick would be really shit.
yes.
Even a cursed rewritable DVD would be shit. It's the thing, and you still get that with audio. You still get in horror movies the cassette tape showing up.
Oh yeah.
It's a thing.
It is.
But yeah, it was what you said, Larage, about this is something that's happening to people who are not necessarily in any way associated with what it is. In The Grudge, it's the same thing. It's a vengeful spirit. But if you ever come into contact with it, like going into the house where it lives, then you're fucked, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like this idea that that these things, these curses, these cursed objects, these scenarios are always going on, and then somebody just happens to wander into the story and become affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can I also just say, a haunted USB stick or DVD or something, that's just a virus. Can we not agree? That's all that is.
That's just bad code.
Yeah, it's just because you pirated the movie off an illegal website, and now it's biting you in the ass for it. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. For so many reasons it wouldn't work.
No.
USB sticks in movies always make me laugh because you get people handing over top secret state secrets on a USB stick or vital evidence for a crime. It's like it's on this USB stick and you're going, you couldn't find anywhere better than something that you got for $3 down Walmart? Seriously?
Yeah. Well, let's just hope you formatted that correctly, or else it's just not even going to boot.
I've formatted it in Mac file system. Now it's truly cursed.
Fucking hell. No one's ever going to see what's on that.
Anyways, so we're digressing here. Sorry, I've probably digressed the most. So yeah, and then there's audition which is quite different.
Yes, it is.
As in, it involves nothing supernatural whatsoever.
Yeah.
No, it's almost. So I don't know if you remember, like here, we when we did the mini-sode on Legion, we sort of like said that's almost not a horror novel.
Yes.
And in the same way, Audition is almost not really a horror film. I mean, it is horrifying.
Yes, it's gross.
No doubt about that. But it's...
It's very violent, the second half of it. If you guys haven't seen it, the first almost an hour of the movie is really not even violent, so there is no horror in it. But I know what you mean. It's very psychological. And maybe I would also say that the horror of this is actual, how would I say it? Like, this all could actually happen. And obviously, I hope it's a little bit too far-fetched in the movie, but it could happen. You know what I mean? It's not about ghosts and spirits and the objects that will haunt you and kill you if you pick up the phone and listen to this voice, you're dead in 7 days. No. The Audition is about society, about the modern dating, and about knowing or not knowing people by just like meeting them few times, and then you allow them to welcome them into your life. You start building a relationship with somebody, and it goes both ways in this movie, Maybe we should start with like what the plot is. I always start at the end. So I don't know. Do you know?
Guy picks the worst method in the world to select a new girlfriend.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know how they even. I hope this is made up. I hope this never happened, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did because, yeah, you know. So
Well, a lot of his stuff was actually based on
yeah.
manga.
Oh, really? Manga?
Yeah, he did base an awful lot of his stuff on sort of Japanese kind of, graphic
Yeah.
novels. I don't know if that one
Yeah.
was.
That can be checked. We did not, I don't think. I didn't.
I had no idea
Yeah.
it was based.
Yeah, well,
on manga
this is one of those
or his
movies
stuff.
that I personally don't need to see second time.
No.
I don't, because I mean it is. I think it's easily understood. Once you see it, you like until the ending. Yes, there is ending. And you understand the whole movie. I don't need to go back. Do you agree with me? Or
Yeah, no, I do. There's kind of there are reasons I think why people return to movies and have favourite movies, and then there are other movies which are just so clear and easy to understand, but at the same time so utterly chilling
yeah,
that you don't, it's not necessary. I mean, watching Audition, it is a fantastic movie,
yes,
a true work of art, but it is also very, very disturbing
yeah,
in lots of ways.
yeah. I could feel certain parts of that movie in my heels. Like, so basically this is a story about a middle-aged guy whose wife, I think, died, and he is trying to find a new romantic relationship, girlfriend, maybe wife, and with his friend who is he like a filmmaker or something like that?
I think so. Yeah.
Something about
It's
film
something associated
making.
with the media.
Yeah. So they come up with this great idea, to like invite women for audition for a film role. Yes, and so these women come there, and they they give their information, their details, their hobbies. They are there in person, so the guys can see them. So, and these two guys evaluate what they see, what they read about them, or their hobbies, their financial situation, their family situation, and this is their way to find a new girlfriend for this guy, which these women have no idea this is going on, and they choose one, a beautiful young woman. I forgot her name in the movie. And then they start the relationship. Yes. So the first half of the movie is about the build up to this point. Like they actually are a couple now. And then I was expecting the guy to be the monster, which in certain way he was, because he did this. But then the twist of the story is that this sweet young woman had her past, and her past was painful and full of pain and harm that was done to her by somebody. I think it was a ballet teacher, or she just imagined it like that. I think it was her ballet teacher when she was a little girl.
Yes, it was a ballet teacher,
Yeah.
and I believe by the time I can't remember if it's a filmmaker at this point or the guy himself who's got suspicion starts
Yeah.
sort of chasing up her past.
Yes.
The ballet teacher is missing both his feet, I believe.
That's right.
Something like that. And so, yeah, and they didn't just drop
No.
off.
No.
They were taken.
It's funny. We were saying a few minutes ago that Audition is maybe not like the others in that there's no cursed object. But maybe if we say that he was objectifying her,
Oh, yeah.
and therefore, in his eyes, she is an object, and she's most definitely cursed in that respect. Maybe she is a cursed object.
But this new guy is also seeing her as an object.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
You mean that? I thought you mean the teacher.
No. Sorry, no.
Okay.
I mean the guy who was conducting the auditions.
Yeah, that's the society.
Because he's objectifying all these women, basically.
Yeah, like it's nothing new in the current society. Men seeing women as objects, and also many women seeing themselves as objects and selling themselves as objects. So it's a horrifying thing. But yeah,
It is. I mean, I don't know if we're supposed to or not, but it is very difficult to have any kind of sympathy for the guy.
yeah, I couldn't. But also what was happening to him by this young lady's doing was it was almost too much.
Yeah.
The way it was done is so Japanese. It was an art piece, really, but it didn't stop from showing you I can't even and the sounds the sound effects were absolutely
Well, this is one thing that Takashi Miike is famed for in the movies he's done, directed at an adult audience. The violence is kind of unremitting once it starts, and it's kind of like just shows violence up for what it is, something you really go, oh Jesus, no, kind of thing. He's got into, well, he hasn't got into trouble. He's just had movies refused or cut to bits in the past for this kind of thing. But interestingly, something I read, when he was asked, Takashi Miike was asked, what are his influences, what are the directors he admired? Two that he named were the two Davids, Cronenberg and Lynch.
Oh.
And I can kind of see in Cronenberg's body horror, kind of there are parallels, although Miike takes it way further. And some of the weirdness in some of the other stuff he's done, there's maybe bits of Lynch in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely. I mean, the Cronenberg connection is obvious.
Yeah. The Lynch, I need to maybe think a little bit.
Well, I think it's the way that a lot of it is, or in my opinion, maybe not a lot of it, some of it is to do with the way that he sets up a shot. And a lot of David Lynch's, I mean, you were saying earlier about the colour, and if you look at a Lynch movie like Blue Velvet, the colours are vital to the interpretation of the movie. And I think possibly that's what he might have borrowed or been inspired by, that the kind of use, the setting up of a shot, the establishment of not just the colours, but the overall tone and mood of the movie.
Yeah, maybe also the Lynchian always gorgeous women. He was choosing the absolute, beauties. And they came up with such ideas in the movies, like you would not expect it. And in this audition, that young lady is also extremely beautiful and very tender looking, petite, and you are not expecting what's coming to this guy. You are not. And it's so surprising. It's like the shock of that, the pain that she has to feel to be like that that was really speaking to me, because you don't choose just to be like that. She was broken inside, and the rage she felt towards men was bigger than her tiny body. It was just, so.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another connection to David Lynch. A lot of David Lynch's female characters that have been victims of abuse.
Yes.
I mean, Laura Palmer in Twin Peaks. Just about everybody in Lost Highway.
Lost Highway was you can't even go.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
It was a great movie, but I wouldn't watch it with my
Yeah.
mum or. Mm-mm.
I wouldn't watch it again.
No,
Leave it at that.
please don't.
Another Japanese movie that I wanted to mention, just because, as you all know, I'm fairly addicted to found footage, is Noroi: The Curse, which is a Japanese found footage movie, and the basic setup to that. And again, it plays into this kind of like idea that there's a story that's always been going on, and people just kind of like stumble into it and become affected by it. I won't give too many spoilers, but basically there's a mother and child, and something happens, and a man becomes involved in trying to find out exactly what's happened to them. And I think it was a good choice for a found footage movie, because there's so much going on in the background of each shot, and there's so much kind of like incidental stuff happening, and found footage is very good at kind of like showing that. But, so yeah, that's one of my possibly my favourite Japanese horror film.
It's also one of the sort of relative. Although I like found footage movies, there's an awful lot of them. I kind of like going, I don't need to watch that again, but that one I definitely want to watch again because there was so much going on. I missed an awful lot. Also, probably because it's in original version, so I'm reading it through subtitles. But there was quite a lot of different sort of arcs to it at different points.
Yeah, it becomes like a patchwork quilt of interconnected stories at some points. There's a bit of news footage here, there's a bit of documentary footage there's a bit of this, that and the other. And they all come together to tell the story of this guy and what he was trying to find out. But yeah, I won't bang on about found footage too much, but well, I will try not to.
No, you can. Well, I think
it is a very good movie.
I've never seen this
No,
movie.
because I will talk about it all night if you let me.
I just wanted to ask, when you said like it's so much going on in the background and like little tiny things, and I have never seen this movie, so I'm asking, do you guys think with this kind of film that it's not just the first line of what you see is I'm always scared that even if I watch it 2 or 3 times, I'm still not seeing all the things and I'm missing stuff. Do you usually go and listen to or watch some reviews and go and see the spoilers, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I might sometimes stumble across a review, but I don't really go looking for them.
So you're happy with what you think you have found all your Easter eggs?
There's a very good chance I haven't caught all of them.
Yeah, but I can't sleep then. I'm thinking.
If you don't know.
Then
it doesn't matter.
I know, but maybe other people do, and then I go like, oh, I'm excited. I need to find it. Where is it? They don't need to tell me like, oh, this time, I'll just find it here. No, but if I know, oh, there is this, I don't know, fridge. You need to pay attention to that fridge. Okay, I need to see the movie again.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing like that.
No.
It's not like there's kind of like
no objects.
Things that happen that you might miss. It's more like there's things. Traditionally, when people make a movie or something, the kind of like the primary action takes place.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
But with found footage movies are supposed to be more realistic. So sometimes the important bit happens over there a bit, or just off to the right, or So it's more a case of they're not really Easter eggs in that sense. They're more like misdirections.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I personally am I really like sort of watching, or in my case, I tend to sort of either watch YouTube videos or play games, sort of that are not as much focused on movies. But I do really like to sort of watch / play the original sort of source material once or twice, try and find everything that I can, and then go and watch a review of it or an analysis or something like that, see what other people think of it. Because I think it's also entirely possible, especially with sort of fan footage and this sort of more vague stuff, that there's different ways to look at it. You might have one idea of what it means, but it's entirely possible another person might see it and have a completely different idea of what it means. And I find that really interesting, and finding sort of different perspectives of looking at the same thing. So I think in that sort of respect, it's always better to watch the original thing first. I would always say. And then go watch an analysis afterwards, personally. I mean, that's the way I'd do it.
Yeah, I mean, I again, I've said this to Ligeia when we've done our mini-tapes a couple of times, but all art is subjective, and it doesn't matter if that's a game or a movie or a TV show or a book or a painting, whatever it happens to be, it's subjective, and people will have different opinions and different interpretations of all of it or parts of it.
Yeah.
And they're all equally valid.
Yeah. So a good example of this is, for me, I'm not sure about which number of Paranormal Activity. I think it was number 2. Don't come for me. I'm not sure about the number. But I have never met anybody who thought about that movie what I think, which is that the actual, not monster, but the entity that is
Toby.
Is the guy. Is that his name?
Yeah. Toby,
and the whole story is not about what's happening around them. It is him keeping his girlfriend on her toes.
Oh.
Following her with the freaking video camera. She doesn't like it. She is sending him away, and he keeps filming her everywhere, even at night when she's sleeping. And I think it's actually a metaphor for her trying to escape this. What do I say nicely? Asshole relationship.
You're talking about Micah.
Yes.
In the first movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but that's exactly what you just said. This is what I'm reading in that movie. So maybe other people will just see the, the spirits and the happenings. I think it's a metaphor, and I love when we are able to communicate and nobody's getting angry like, oh, how can you say that this is in the movie? Well, this is what I see, so I love to have a dialogue with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, apart from the fact that everyone has different interpretations, there's always subtext to everything. We've all said that before as well. There's, especially horror movies are so tied into their culture and the events that have happened in the history of the culture.
Yeah.
Things like that. I mean, we're talking about Japanese horror movies. I mean, you think of something like, and it was Lithos who brought this up the first time we tried to record this episode. Gojira is a character that is steeped in Japanese trauma and guilt and over things that happened during the Second World War and at the end of the Second World War. So on one level, it's a Godzilla movie. And there's a big dinosaur going and bringing down buildings and everything. But on another level, it's a metaphor for various things about how Japanese people might feel about things towards the end of the Second World War. In my opinion.
And Gojira is also a French metal band that is really good. I'm just saying.
Yep. Yeah, it's true.
Yes, so we kind of covered Japan there. There's obviously other countries that come into it. There's a sort of Central Latin American. There's, I am not, I don't know if anyone is, aware of any sort of horror movie movement or sort of following from Africa?
South Africa,
Well,
yes.
South Africa, obviously, yes. I was just thinking of the rest of the continent, but yes, South Africa.
There's a kind of there's a few Egyptian found footage, but they're more sort of like exploitative in the sense that they're made by westernized people or Western people about that are made by people from that area who lived that culture. But yeah, you're right. There isn't a lot of, or as far as I'm aware, there's not a lot of African horror movies. There probably is.
Yeah, we just don't know. So maybe, guys,
Yeah, exactly.
if you know,
there's got to be. You know, everyone likes a good horror.
yeah.
We should seek them out.
And not as though Africa doesn't have a rich tradition of kind of folklore and all kinds of spirit stories, you know.
Yeah, it would certainly be interesting to see
Oh, I'm
an African
intrigued.
perspective.
Yeah. Oof.
I mean, there's so many countries
Yeah.
within the whole continent,
Yeah.
you know. There's almost certainly a very rich vein of horror movies that we just don't know about.
Yes, and if anyone listening knows of any such movies from Africa, let us know.
Please.
Yeah, email us.
Email us, leave us a comment on YouTube or however you listen.
What other movies did we talk about? Oh, we talked about Wreck. Did you want to... Should we leave
Yes.
it to...
Yes, Wreck, which is it's kind of because we moved on to Spain because even though it's European, you know, we're talking about foreign language movies as well, and there's quite a few that come out of Spain, and Wreck is one of them, and it is one of the. I would have to say outright, out of all the found footage I've found, it's the fucking scariest one.
It's the best.
By far.
It is undoubtedly the best. I mean, it's just...
I mean, once
brilliant.
it gets going, it's unremitting, and you will have, you know, make sure you've avoided your bowels before you watch the movie, because there's quite a few jump scares.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the criticisms often levelled at found footage in that is that it takes ages to get going, and then all the action's concentrated within the last 20 minutes. And there is some justification to that opinion, but Wreck is certainly not like that. It's fairly quiet for about 10-15 minutes, and then the shit hits the fan and does not stop hitting the fan for the rest of the movie.
Is it easy to find?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
We should watch that.
yes.
It's an absolute. I would recommend that to any if you haven't watched it. Square brackets, REC in capitals, and then a dot after it is the way it's actually represented. But if you search for Rec or capital in square brackets, you will find it. And you won't regret it. If you like horror movies, if you don't like horror movies, I don't know what you're fucking doing.
What are you listening to this for? Go and listen to something else.
Wait for a different episode.
Yeah. I think there's 3 sequels to it.
Oh no.
But the second one is pretty good. The third and fourth, I think there's a fourth, are pretty shit. But the other thing you've got to be careful of with foreign language movies is the Americanized versions of them. So there's an American remake of Wreck called Quarantine, and it's not that it's a bad movie. It's just completely pointless. There's absolutely no point to it at all. I really genuinely do not know why they bothered to make it. It's almost beat for beat exactly the same as Wreck. Literally, the only difference is the actors are speaking with American accents in English, and it's not executed as well. It's not acted as well. It's just a complete waste of time.
Diluted something.
Yeah, pointless.
No. The originals. We need the originals.
Yes, and right at the start mentioning the kind of wave of Japanese horror that hit around the millennium, and all the big ones were remade.
Yes.
In English. Ironically, the remake of the original Ju-on, The Grudge, which had Sarah Michelle Gellar in it, so they obviously thought, we'll stick a Buffy in it and that'll be all right. It was made by the same director who had done the Japanese version, and it's a lot shitter, which is quite surprising, because the American version of The Ring was reasonably okay as these things go, but the remake of The Grudge, the original Ju-on, was just, it was bizarre when because I watched it, I just thought I'll see how that goes, and it was really not good at all, but it was the same director 2 years later. But then, he wants to make money. You can blame him.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if this is getting a little bit too sort of conspiracy-esque, but would it not sort of be the case where you have, like, the scary original version for the hardcore fans, and then you're going to make a sort of almost radio-friendly version? Like a slightly more diluted, slightly less scary, slightly cleaner version of it for wider audiences, so that you don't have the same movie twice? I guess. Maybe. No evidence to back that up. That's just a thought that entered my mind. But
I certainly think that's a valid opinion. I'm not sure. I mean, I've seen the Ringu remake, because that's got Naomi Watts in it, hasn't it? She plays the lead character. I haven't seen the one with Sarah Michelle Gellar in. But I did watch Quarantine, which is the Wreck remake, and they weren't necessarily toned down, but they just, I don't know, they just seemed it just seemed like a bunch of people going through the motions of making a movie. No one seemed really committed to it. There was no kind of cultural references which make a film come alive, in my opinion. They just seemed to be completely superfluous. I didn't really understand what the point of them was.
Yeah.
No, I mean, literally, when a movie is made and it's an original, the vision of the writers, directors, and everything else went into it, and, they did it for a reason, but yes, doing... the motivation behind doing an equally good version in an American studio has got to be pretty low, other than we are going to make money. I see no other reason.
But would that mean, you're saying we're going to make money, would that mean the original version, either Japanese or Spanish or whatever country, is not making that much money specifically in the US?
Not making money for the right people. Not making money for the big Hollywood studios.
I was trying to get to that point, but
yeah.
Because I don't want to think that I need to be careful here. Is there a world where certain group of people prefer to look at only white people?
White people, I don't know, but certainly there's a group of people who would prefer to hear English speaking voices. Yeah.
And faces they know and recognise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that is the sort of familiarity in what a movie's going to be. You know, some people will like that. Some people will like just seeing new faces.
They like their bubble.
And different perspectives. Yeah.
I know about one huge bubble. I guess we all know what I mean. It's a country. And maybe they like to stay in the bubble. No, I don't. Certainly, in that bubble, there are people who want to see further than inside the bubble. It's usually,
Yeah, although
different mindset.
To be fair, I've had people in the bubble that we all live in say the same thing. That they preferred Naomi Watts in The Ring than they preferred the Japanese cast in Ringu. And I don't have a way to explain why, other than it's too much trouble for them to actually read words off a screen.
Yeah.
Than to hear.
Well, because I think we all would agree that there is a different value in something that comes from somewhere.
Absolutely.
And you are inspecting it, exploring it as the raw thing that it is. You don't have to like it. You don't have to necessarily understand it, even the culture of it. But it is a special something that is a thing. And when you take it from there and you put other people who make the same thing, which are other people from another culture with another language, it is changing the substance of it, the essence. And I think we are losing a lot. Yeah. I'm sorry, Bohema, you're saying something.
That's what I was just going to say. There's I can't think of a world where, any instance where, very, very few sort of cognito hazards, but in almost every case, knowing more is good, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
learning.
Knowing more about another culture or just understanding how other people work, even if it's in your same culture, whatever, all that sort of stuff. I think in almost every case that is a good thing. I really don't see how that could do any harm to anyone.
No, I completely agree. And the idea that a movie can exist independently of the culture from which it was created in is an odd one to me. I don't see how it can ever. I'm sorry, I'm going to mention it again. There is nothing wrong with Quarantine as a movie. It's absolutely acceptable. But it's a bit like, when you go in a lift and they start playing a version of a really famous song, and it's all kind of like lo-fi, one-note bullshit. It's that. It's kind of like, it's the difference between hearing Don't Stop Believing performed by Journey and hearing Don't Stop Believing played by a cover band in a lift while you're travelling up a flight of, there's no artistic merit to it at all.
Yep, kind of like a copy when the copy is running low on toner.
Yes, exactly.
That's perfect. Or a fondue without cheese, Just eat your bread. I don't know. It's like you're losing the taste of it. The smell. It can be stinky, whatever. It's just, it has its smell. So don't watch. Okay, I will.
A fondue with American cheese.
Oh, the orange thingy.
Kraft slices.
Cheese in a can.
Yes.
Oh no. Is that a thing?
We're going to lose all of our American audience.
Please, guys, we love you. We love you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. We just think you're shite at chocolate and cheese. Really? Yeah. You need to buy and learn to make proper chocolate, and cheese doesn't come in slices. It's also American cheese was invented in Canada by a Canadian.
Oh no.
Was it?
No.
Yes,
Oh my gosh! Don't tell Trump.
yes. The process it is, yeah. So we love our American audience. We just, find some of the products you eat
Weird.
questionable to our tastes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're a country that is so bland we had to invade half the world to get our food to taste nice.
This is so true.
Yeah, so if you could leave off the cheese, the chocolate, and the remaking of other people's movies, it's all good.
Also, to be fair, I am just going to say here, as a sort of slightly third party because I wasn't born here, Americans have their sliced plastic cheese. We roll cheese down hills for fun. So I'm not really sure who the winner is here.
Yeah, it's not the greatest advertisement for the sensibilities of the people of Britain, is it?
Yeah.
What are we going to do today?
Yeah, kind of
let's
cheese
roll the
rolling
cheese down the
versus
hill.
processed cheese. It's like limb fractures versus artery clogging.
Yes.
Yeah. Neither are good for you, and they make the cheese taste worse.
Anyway, let's move on to, any other suggestions from a sort of global perspective?
Well, I'm going to talk about found footage movies again. Sorry, but I know, you people, listeners, you can't see, but they're all rolling their eyes at me.
No,
The bastards.
it's not true. Not yet.
So there's a series of really good South American movies, one of which is Mexican, Central American in that case, and that is called Altair, 1974, La Possession of Altair. It's good in the sense that it is very, very true to the 70s. It's got that kind of like dirty film, and I don't mean kind of like pervy film. I mean the film quality is dirty. I set it to it, and it's got one of the best twists I've ever seen in a movie. It's fantastic. And there's another one called Wekufu, which I believe is Peruvian, but I might be wrong on that. And that is a good movie to watch because it tells you a lot about the culture of the country. And I say again, I think it's Peruvian. I'm fairly sure it's Peruvian. But it's a very good film. Wekufu, Wekufe. And now I'll shut up about found footage horror movies.
I have not seen any of those, so
No, I'm
idea.
afraid I'm one of those people who goes digging through film repositories looking for really out of the way found footage movies.
that's brilliant. And I'm happy we have you here, because I can just ask you, and you have a list.
Yeah,
Both of
I
you,
have got a
Littles, you
list.
too. It's a never-ending well of knowledge. Okay.
I think it is good because we all have our certain niches. I think mine is
Yeah.
probably the most out of the way because I don't really watch movies as a definition, but like still, it is definitely helpful to have like sort of specialties per person because we can kind of.
So in terms of like
yeah.
games, in horror games, I mean,
Oh.
I'm aware of the big name horror games, things like Resident Evil, stuff like that, Silent Hill. But are there any that you're aware of from non-westernized countries? Because I can't think of any.
There's a few sort of there's a lot of sort of indie games which are really good for sort of showing off sort of particular cultures, whatever. I can't think off the top of my head of Japanese ones, but I know for a fact that there's several. I think that's a really nice sort of area of horror, is where it really shines, is where it's sort of this indie feel, where it's just a guy or like one person or a small group that just have an idea and just go, fuck it, let's make this thing, rather than a big multi-million-dollar whatever studio going, what will the audience like? Because it's so much more creative. Even if it's filmed on a 20-year-old GoPro, I don't care. It's so much more sort of interesting just because it's not filtered through everything. So
And that's kind of unique to horror, really.
I think it is, yeah.
I can't think of another genre of movie or TV show or sort of like more mainstream media that could have, I don't know, games dedicated to it or a found footage. Can you imagine found footage romance movies? What the fuck would that be?
Oh my god. No, anything found footage just kind of becomes horror because it's the world we're living in and it's just fucking creepy in certain ways.
Yeah. But this idea that it's only really horror that can be kind of explored through other ways. It doesn't have to be a big budget movie. You know?
I'm still stuck on the idea of found footage romance.
That is
Surely.
we need to make that a thing.
That's kind
now.
of like
You've said it. We need to make that.
That would be restraining order territory.
It's Notting Hill, but Hugh Grant carries a camera around everywhere with him.
Hugh Grant. I can see him. He has a great horror face, actually. If you have seen the Heretic movie, that guy surprised me.
He was fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he was.
So
good.
I can see this. Found footage romance.
And that's actually an interesting point because there does seem to be a push by some American studios now to be adopting a much more particularly European sensibility. I mean, you think of people like Ari Aster, who are becoming more well known, even in American sort of like big budget movies. They carry that sensibility, and you know, that's not to say that all American horror or all big budget horror movies are shit, but it's more that to me anyway, there does seem to be a definite European, particularly influence infiltrating a lot of mainstream.
I love it.
American horror movies.
I love Ari Aster's movies. So.
Yeah, I would just like to also add on to that point of like, just because a movie is a big budget movie or made by a big studio or whatever does not mean it's inherently bad. I just like the fact that there's variety in horror and you can have the range of everything from one person, like I know I've mentioned them before, but Kane Pixels, for example. Incredible guy, like my age, just decided to learn how to use Blender and has made one of the most well-known YouTube horror series just basically overnight because he wanted to. And we have anything from that to massive studios producing horror movies, and I think that's just that's amazing because you really have your choice from everything, anything you can think of in horror, basically. I think that's amazing.
We also wanted, as part of this episode, to give a big thank you to Jack Violently from Free Society Satanists, which is GOS's one of GOS's American orders. He's given us a lot of really good advice about software and things that we can use to make the quality of the podcast better, and hopefully you can hear that in our output. And so we just wanted to say to Jack, thank you very much. And we also wanted to tell our listeners that Jack's podcast, the Ave Satanis podcast, is now on the official GOS YouTube account, which if you listen to this on YouTube, you'll be able to find the Ave Satanis podcast on YouTube as well.
We'll apologise if any of this, by the way, sounds disjointed, particularly towards the end. We were having some more technical difficulties, which are resolved. So, again, we will thank you all for bearing with us and listening. We hope you enjoyed it. Does anyone else want to add anything?
Thank you for listening. We're happy to have you all. Let us know if you're interested in more horror. We have plenty to share.
Yes, suggestions via email or via
Yeah.
YouTube comment.
Whatever topics.
Yes, it doesn't have to be horror.
Yeah.
It was just horror today.
Mm.
So
You mean they make other sorts of movies?
apparently, I've heard,
Bloody
there's
hell.
something. It's Skian's fiction.
Never heard of it.
God, I don't know.
Newfangled bullshit.
Yeah.
All right.
So, we hope you enjoyed listening to it. Like I said, we're very grateful for everyone who listens. And in the meantime, thank you. Stay safe and hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Our usual thanks to friends of the podcast, Matt and the guys from Hearst Pileup, for letting us use their music as our theme tune. Why not check them out on Bandcamp? And while you're at it, why not check out our compilation, the proceeds of which go to charity, and it's called Contra Odium, from the Satan Not Haten campaign. As usual, if you have any comments or you'd like to suggest topics for future episodes, please email us at gospod@ghostsatan.com. That's GOSPOD at GOSATAN.com. And in the meantime, be well, hail Satan, and thank you for listening.